Hey guys, this is Nick from Sunshine Arena and you're watching Cardfight Empire.
Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard series. What's up, guys? I'm back. After my week break, I took my week break from the ARG tournament. I'm feeling pretty good right now, actually. That week break was really good for me to be able to center myself and come back with more motivation to do my channel. So I'm back with more motivation than ever. So we'll be back to regular schedule as of this week. But I made a Monday video for you guys since you haven't had a video in a week. So this one is going to be on the Dark Irregular GB8 deck. The Dark Irregular, well, let's get right into it before I talk about that, but, ooh, wrong one. It's been a while. Alright, so the Dark Irregular deck didn't have a lot of strides that flip each other until GBT11, so we ended up delving into GBT11's pool just to get a few cards out. Keep in mind, it's not a full GBT11 build, just like a build with some GBT11 cards that I think we quote-unquote needed. But yeah, let's get right into the build. So first we have one who shatters Sin's Scharhrot. Not really sure how people pronounce that usually. I would just say Scharhrot. But one who scatters Sin Scharhrot. That's a mouthful. It has two abilities. The first ability is when your G unit strides. So they've started putting the stride skills on the top of the new cards, which really bugs me. I don't know why, but since I'm used to the Generation 2 ability being the first one and then the stride skill being the second one, it really bugs me. But the first skill is the stride skill. When your G unit strides, you may soul charge 2, so it is an optional. So you can soul charge 2, and then if you have 2 or more darkness, if the number of cards with darkness in your soul is 4 or more. Wow, I thought it was 2 or more. Okay, so I played maybe some of these games wrong because I thought that it was 2 or more. But yeah, if the number of cards with darkness in your soul is 4 or more, then your opponent chooses one of their rear guards and retires it. Then we have the Generation Break 2 Darkness ability, which is when this unit attacks, if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, until the end of the battle it gets plus 5,000 power, and your opponent can't guard with grade 0s, meaning it gains a Silent Tom skill. Now this turns into a pretty good rearguard on the rearguard circle. Just becomes pretty useful in case you don't have an actual rearguard you'd like to use. Then we run 4 of the original Scharhrot Vampire. Its Generation Break 2 ability is during your turn, if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, this unit gets plus 10,000 power. Then if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, it gets plus 1 critical. So pretty good on turns that you can't stride. I mean, considering 21 in the crit is not bad, it's not the greatest, so you always do want to stride. It's not good enough to justify not striding with 2 cards if you have to stride with 2 cards, in my opinion. But its stride skill is counterblast 1. When your G unit strides on top of it, you can counterblast 1 and soul charge 2, and then you choose one of your vanguards and it gets a skill that says whenever this unit attacks your vanguard, if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, then your opponent chooses one of the rear guards and retires it. So the really good thing about this skill is that when you go into it with the new stride Breadamouth, that's a restander, you get to fire this skill twice and retire 2 rear guards. So I would even say under some circumstances it's probably better to ride the original one and just use this one as a rear guard. Then we have 4 Brennan Vampire. Brennan Vampire has a Generation Break 1 Darkness ability. For those of you who don't know what darkness is, sorry I didn't explain that. For those of you who don't know what darkness is, that is the keyword for Dark Irregular as a clan. Darkness is fulfilled whenever you have put a card into the soul during that turn. So you cannot use any darkness abilities before you soul charge, and usually that's done with either one of the stride abilities. And so then you're usually in darkness for the rest of the turn. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, do beware of that. So yeah, we run Brenner Vampire, Generation Break 1, Darkness. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Scharhrot in the name, you can counterblast 1, and if you do, this unit gets plus 1,000 power for every card in your soul until the end of the battle, and then at the end of the battle, you put this unit into your soul and draw a card. So pretty good, generates soul, generates card advantage, and attacks for pretty good numbers most of the time because of its ability. We have 4 Flying Librarian. We ran Flying Librarian in this build because we would have run a Darkness card, but I actually put the build together like kind of quick, and I wanted to run a non-Darkness card just in case we don't have a way to soul charge before using our Darkness abilities, and that's also why Killing Doll Master is in here as well, because we don't run Hysteric Shirley, so we can't just like have a draw trigger in our hand and do it. And I didn't want to really run draws in this specific build because it's centered around the GB8. But yeah, Flying Librarian says when it's placed on the rearguard circle, and if you're Generation Break 1, you can counterblast 1 and soul charge 2. And then if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, you can draw a card. And then if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, you can choose a card from your damage zone and turn it face up. So basically, if you use this effect with 10 or more cards in your soul, then the skill becomes free, and you just draw a card and soul charge 2 for free. So pretty good. We ran 3 Demented Executioner. The more and more I tested this specific build, the more I would have preferred to switch it out with Doppel Vampire, for those of you who know what that is. Because Demented Executioner didn't really come in handy that many times. But I did keep it for the sake of like it being the same as the matches that I played with it. So Demented Executioner, it has a Darkness skill that's once per turn. That's not Generation Break, so keep in mind that you can use it before your Generation Break, but there's not really a point because you won't be soul charging a lot before G-Break, and also you really won't have that many cards in your soul pre-G-Break. So it might as well be a Generation Break 1 ability, in my opinion. So it has a once per turn Darkness skill, counterblast 1. If the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, it gets 2,000 power. And then if the number of cards is 10 or more, it gets plus 3,000 power more. So basically, if you have 10 or more cards in the soul, it gets plus 5,000. And if you have 6 or more, it gets plus 2,000. So Dark Irregular has these numbers that they like to hit in their soul. These numbers usually being 6, 10, or 15. So usually, like all their cards abilities say, if you have this number of cards in soul, do this, or you get to do this, and all of them gain their effects off of that way. So we really never used the counterboss 1 of the first ability, even though I think we could have in some situations. The second ability, which is what we really use it for, is when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, search for 1 card with the Darkness ability, and put it into your soul and shuffle. So not a bad ability. Not the greatest either. Sometimes it does allow us to get the PG out into our soul, which like from there allows us to enter Darkness and also use the PG skill to put into our hand. But yeah, we ran 4 Stride Fodder, the regular one. Keep in mind we're not running Were Tiger Jaeger because this isn't the GBT11 stuff fully yet. So when I do the GBT11 deck lists, I kind of wanted to save something for that. So yeah, I'll be running in that one. But we have 4 Greedy Succubus. Greedy Succubus is our PG in this deck. It has a regular PG skill, and then it also has a skill that says when it's in the soul, if during your main phase, if you're in Darkness, you can choose one of your grade 1 or lower rear guards and put into your and retire it to put this into your hand. So it works really well with our starter, which is a Spade Jack of Nightmareland, like because Spade Jack calls itself out from the soul, and then like almost immediately following that you usually have a PG in your soul in this deck build, so you can just retire the Spade Jack, which is useless to you now, for a PG. So pretty good. Then we ran 4 Serpent Charmer. The only reason why I ran Serpent Charmer in this deck was to not deck out, but honestly, I like rarely got it in hand because it always got soul charged or damaged. And as well, like when you're going into it and you're going into the restander, like the restander, I forgot that it decreases the amount of cards in your soul. So by that standard, like you really never get to use this skill unless you just pump up and you go into Guild Arise and then you use it. So I'm not sure what I'd replace for this. Maybe Dimension Creeper, for those of you who want to replace it with Dimension Creeper. We ran 2 Killing Dollmaster. Killing Dollmaster, what she does is has a rearguard ability. At the beginning of your main phase, you can put this card into the soul and then soul charge 2. So it's basically like getting 3 cards into your soul just for her being on the board by the time your main phase comes around, which is really good because she's not Generation Break either, which means that you can play her as a 7K. If you really wanted to, you could ride a grade 1 and then play Killing Dollmaster on the 7K as a rearguard, then attack your opponent, and if they don't get rid of it somehow, then you can shove it into the soul and soul charge 2. So pretty good. We have 1 Spade Knight of Nightmare Land, which is our starter like I discussed before. It has 2 abilities. The first one says when the unit rides this unit, it does not have Forerunner, so it does not come out like normal starters. So do be aware of that. So it's 2 abilities. When your unit rides this unit, draw a card and then put a card into your soul. This effect helps with filtering and also building your soul early in the game. If you don't have a specific grade, it allows you to go 1 card deeper into your deck to find that card before you have to do something silly like G-assisting or something like that. Then when it's in the soul, it has an ability as well. When your G unit strides, you can call it out from the soul, and if you do, you soul charge 1. So it also helps build your soul and go 1 card deeper into your deck. It's really just 1 card deeper into your deck, I guess, because the Spade Knight is coming out of your soul and a new card is going into your soul. So it's really just replacing itself in the soul, but it still pluses you soul overall because of its first skill. So then we have 4, we ran 4 crit, 8 stand, and 4 heal in this deck. So the reason why we ran so many stands is because I was like, my original idea is that when we get to the GB8, we want to pump our column kind of the same way, or pump our front row with crits and power the same way that Dimax does in D-Police. So we wanted to build like a build focused around like critting our opponent for the win. When they're at like 4 or something like that. We assume that by the time we go to GB8, they'll be at 4 or 5 damage. So yeah, it's like an auto kill. So for our crit, we ran the Scharhrot crit. Basically, when our Vanguard attacks, if we have a Vanguard with Scharhrot in the name, put into the soul, draw a card, and choose one of our Vanguards, it gets plus 5,000 until the end of the battle. So a lot of you guys, I know some of you guys out there think that the crit triggers like give power for the respective clans that have restanders. You think that they give power until the end of the turn, but beware that they do not. That is not a thing. So if I were to use it with Breadamouth, it would only gain 5,000 power until the end of that battle, and then when it restands, it doesn't have power from the crit anymore. So then our 4 stand triggers, we ran 4 Dark Queen of Nightmare Land and 4 Monochrome of Nightmare Land, both stands that return to our deck by some way, shape, or fashion. Dark Queen of Nightmare Land just says when an attack hits during the battle that this unit boosted, you can soul charge 1. So this one also builds your soul. Well, both build your soul, but yeah, you can soul charge 1 and return this unit to your deck. And then this unit, you can just play it on the rearguard circle and activate its ability. Which you get to just shuffle your deck. This one is Generation Break 1 though, so you can't use it in the early game like you can with Dark Queen. But yeah, Monochrome just says put this unit into your deck, shuffle your deck, soul charge 1, and then like I was discussing before about the requirements for Dark Irregular cards, it has the same thing. If the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, then you can choose a card from your damage zone and flip it face up. And then if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, then you draw a card as well. So you don't lose a card for using it. You really just get to unflip a damage and soul charge 1 for free. So pretty good card. Then we ran 4 Specialist Vincent. Vincent is our heal from the Fighters collection, so pretty simple. Also, when you G-Guard with the into the new Vincent, you can put this card into your soul, which builds your soul as well. And also makes it so that when you G-Guard for Vincent, which is probably like once you get past the first G-Guard, we never got the chance to do it on someone, but assuming that we would go into Vincent twice, it allows for 2 of our heals to be used by Bread and Mouth and not just randomly wasted. So yeah, that's pretty good. So going into our G zone, we have 4 of the card that I've talked about so much up to this point. Bread and Mouth. This card is absolutely insane in my opinion. Generation Break 2, Darkness skill. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can counterboss 1, flip a Bread and Mouth face up in your G zone, and then choose 2 cards from your hand and put them into your soul. And if the number of cards, you can only do that if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more when it attacks, which is easy peasy. You guys know how Dark Regular works. And then if you do, you return all grade 0 cards from your soul and rearguard to your deck, and then shuffle your deck, and then you choose 2 units and they get plus 5,000 power, and then at the end of the battle, this unit restands and gets -2 drive check. So another reason why the PG play with the starter is so good, in my opinion, because when Spade Jack comes out, the combo that I was talking about with using Greedy Succubus to retire Spade Jack is because you won't have to worry about your starter going back to your deck when you have to put back all of your zeros, which is one thing that a lot of people like miscalculate for if they run like Assassins or the Were Tiger starter, is that they always have to put it back to their deck. So that's like that's like a non-trigger that they could check, which would be really unfortunate for them. But yeah, other than that, ridiculous card, pretty good. Another ridiculous card under the right circumstances is one who is abhorrent, Gilderize. So what Gilderize does is during the main phase, you can you flip a Gilderize from your G zone face up. Then if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, it gets plus 10,000 power. And then if the number of cards in your soul is 15 or more, then this unit gets an auto ability that says when this unit attacks a Vanguard, until the end of the battle, your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater cards, so it gets guard restrict. And then also if this is your second stride or more, or basically if you have 2 cards face up in the G zone, then this unit gets +1 critical until the end of the turn. So the reason why this card's so good is because it becomes a 36k. Your opponent can't guard with grade 1 or higher, which means that they cannot PG. They have to guard with G Guardians or all zeros to guard it, which 36 to guard with all zeros, that's like at least three 10ks if they don't have a G Guardian. Actually, it's at least 4 10ks, and even that is a 1 to pass. So that's insane. Trying to see if I'm doing math right. 11, 21, 31, 41. Okay, that's 3 10ks. Yeah, I thought I was right the first time. But yeah, that's at least 3 10ks from your opponent to at least 1 to pass them. Not to mention if you have to play another 10k from your hand because you don't have a 5k 0 in your hand, then that's a 3 to pass. But you just got rid of 4 10ks in their hand, which is ridiculous. Not to mention if this has a booster, they have to go for even more to effectively guard this card and not be gamed out by it. But we run one of the GB8, Coffin of Absolute Zero, Rutland Vitre. I don't think that's its name in English, but I don't know what its name is in English, so yeah, that's what it is on area, so I guess that's what we're calling it. We're just going to call it Rutland. So what Rutland does is Generation Break 8, continuous skill. All units in your front row get plus 13,000 power and a critical for every 13 cards in your soul. So basically, you're never going to have really 26 cards in soul in this deck. So basically, it just says, basically, your front row gets plus 13k and 1 critical. If you can manage somehow to get 26 in your soul, then you get plus 26k to your front row and 2 criticals, which would be insane. I would assume that you'll be very close to decking out then. Then we have one Slashing Strike of Sorrow, Rugerus. So what Rugerus does is you counterboss 1 and choose a card from your G zone, turn it face up, soul charge 3, and then choose one of your rear guards for each card soul charge with a different grade, and then they get plus 5,000 power. So basically the way that this works, because it's worded a little awkwardly for you guys, is you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You don't really look at them, but you're going to soul charge them. But you look at the cards that you soul charge, and for each grade that's different from the other 3, then you choose a rear guard and it gets plus 5,000. So if you check all grade 0s, choose one rear guard and it gets plus 5,000. If you check a grade 0 and a grade 1 and a grade 0, because you checked a grade 0 and a grade 1, 2 units get plus 5,000, and then so on and so forth. And then if you happen to soul charge a card with the darkness ability, you get to choose a grade 3 from your soul and put it into your hand. So sometimes, most of the time, it gives you free stride fodder, so it's pretty nice. We run 1 Sabreeze in case our opponent tries to gimp us and not let us get to G-Break. We run 2 Medicine of Discontinuation Vincent, which is our new G-Guardian from the Fighters Collection. It says, Dark Irregular, I should mention, has a lot of really good G-Guardians, some of which saved us from, otherwise would have been threats to any other deck. So one of these G-Guardians is flip a G-Guardian when this card is placed on the guard circle. If you do soul charge 1, and this unit gets plus 5,000 for every 5 cards in your soul. So that's pretty amazing. If you have 15 cards in your soul, it gets 15,000 power. So pretty good. Then we have 1 Phantasm Beast Bittner Sabnak. This is also from GBT11. This G-Guardian, in my opinion, is so good against decks that attack you for little stuff all the time, like, I don't know, Aquaforce, Gear Chronicle, like all that stuff. Because when this card is placed on the guard circle during the battle that your opponent's Vanguard attacked, I guess that makes it like a slight bit worse because I thought that it was any attack. But yeah, when it's placed on the guard circle during the battle that your opponent's Vanguard attacked, you can counterboss 1 if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more. Then this unit gets plus 5,000 shield, and then you choose one of your Vanguards and it gets plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. So not only does this G-Guard guard for 36 by itself, but it gives your Vanguard 5,000 power for like the entire turn. So it'll make guarding all the other attacks easier or not hit as well. Then we have 1 Nighttime Gentleman Saint Germain. So what Saint Germain does is when it's placed on the Guardian Circle, if the number of cards in your soul is 10 or more, this unit gets plus 10,000 shield. And then the really important part about this card, in my opinion, is if the number of cards in your soul is 15 or more, then you choose any number of your units, and then they get resist. On Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle, or Guard Circle. So what this means is against D-Police, when they're trying to blow your cards off of the Guardian Circle, you can PG, and then you can G-Guard with Saint Germain, and then say that they all get resist. Or you can G-Guard with Saint Germain and like throw down like a 10 and a 5k or something like that for like a 2 or 3 to pass, and then they can't blow your cards off the Guardian Circle. In the case of the Legion in D-Police, like you could literally G-Guard with this and throw down a 5k, I think can be fine. Also, since you can target your Vanguard and give your Vanguard resist, like skills that would target your Vanguard don't happen, like VMAX dealing you a damage, because they have to choose one of your rear guards, and resist says that you cannot be chosen for an effect. So it does save you from VMAX, as you guys will see in one of the games, and it's just an overall great PG. Like, I might just run 2 of this. So then we have 1 False Dark Wings Agrat Bat Malat. So what Malat does is when it's placed on the Guardian Circle, soul charge 2, and if the number of cards in your soul is 6 or more, which it should always be if you're using this, this unit will get plus 5,000 shield. So it's a 31k shield. Not bad, not the best, but still one of the best G-Guards out there for their clan when it comes to G-Guards. So getting right into the matches, we are opening back up our card fight area here momentarily. Alright, so we're going to load the replay, which is DI GB8 so the first game we're playing against Narukami, like I stated previously. Our hand is not that great because we don't have a grade 3, but we do ride on top of our new starter, and so we draw a card and we're choosing a card to go into the soul while our opponent started our turn, or started their turn already. He asked me why I soul charged, and I told him my starter. Then he moves his starter out and proceeds to attack me. He gets a crit. So I'm kind of like, what the hell? Because I would have gotten that grade 3, number 1, and then number 2, like, who crits on the first turn? And then he checked a crit for his damage check, and then a crit for his next drive check after that. So, pretty sacky, this guy. But we do attack with our rear guard first because we run stand triggers, which we do check one of those. And then we attack him for 14 as well. He guards. He attacks our Vanguard for 16, and then we 2 to pass him, and he almost gets it, but then he doesn't. So then we have to G-assist for a grade 3. We get rid of 2 cards from our hand, so we end up getting rid of Monochrome and Serpent Charmer, and 2 Bread of Mouth. So we stride into Rugerous. We use the on stride skill to counter boss 1, soul charge 2. And then when it goes to the main phase, we use Killing Doll Master to put it into the soul charge 2. And then we use Rugerous skill to counter boss 1, Flips a Breeze. And the top 3 cards of the deck are all 3 different units. So if we had 3 units, they would all get 5k. And then we add the grade 3 Scharhrot Vampire from our soul to our hand. And then we decide to play that Stride Fodder to get a PG out of our soul using Greedy Succubus's skill, Darkness. We attack with Brennan Vampire, and it gets a lot of power because there's a lot of cards in the soul. And then when we attack with our Vanguard, he has to retire 1, which is good for us because we don't want to deal with that starter. That starter is really, really good. So he goes into Voltage here. He does use Rock Climb to bind one of my units, my Serpent Charmer, which unfortunately, like, had I reached the skill of Serpent Charmer, it wouldn't have been on the field anymore for him to target anything. But we did guard his first rear guard attack and then PG Voltage and then take the attack and heal. So doing pretty good so far. We go into Bread of Mouth. We use our starter to call it out in Soul Charge 1. Then we Soul Charge 2 using the on stride effect. Then we use the skill of Demented Executioner, look at top 7 and put a Greedy Succubus PG into the soul. But then we call our Librarian. Librarian does the Soul Charge 2, unflip, and draw 1 for free. So right now our hand's pretty defensive, so we can't really play anything else. So I attacked rearguard to rearguard first, and then I attacked his Vanguard for 26 using Bread of Mouth skill, putting 2 cards into the soul, which I kind of forgot about on the first game. So this was like the game where I was like learning the deck / getting used to it. So excuse my mistakes, guys. But yeah, we put back all of our triggers into our deck, and then he has to retire 1 because of our unstride skill. And then he no guards, we check a stand trigger and stand 1, and then we give power to our Librarian as well. We attack for 19, and then we attack with Bread of Mouth again, and he has to retire 1 as well. And then he 1 passes us, doesn't get it, and then we attack him for 18, and he guards with 2 cards. So even though we were very likely to get it on the 1 to pass when it restood, like, we just didn't get it. But he does go into Voltage, or Vanquisher Voltage again. So he uses the GB3 to give his front row plus 12,000. We do guard his first attack with a 10k because we know that bigger things are coming this turn. I did want to PG his Vanguard just so that he couldn't get any more of my cards bound, but I decided to take it because in the case of me PGing the Vanguard and then he gets 2 crits and puts it on the rearguard circle, like, I'm gonna die anyways. So we take it. We do get a heal trigger. He does choose for our Perfect Guard and our starter to be bound from our drop zone, and because of taking the attack and he didn't check any crits, we're able to take both attacks, which is absolutely positively glorious in this situation. So we go into the skill of or we go into Go to Rides. We use the skill of our stand trigger, and we thought that we were going to get another card to soul charge, but we didn't. So we just use Greedy Succubus to get rid of that stand trigger, and then we just attack. I think we have like 11 in soul, so he is able to PG because of that, and he does have to retire 1 because of Vampire skill. We check a critical as well, so it definitely would have ended the game. He goes into VMAX here, and we guard with a 10, and then we guard with Saint Germain. We give our Vanguard resist, and so we guard 3 to pass. He does check his triggers and get 2 crit triggers, which thank goodness I didn't 2 to pass him. That would have been like crazy, but he tried to use his Thunderstrike skill, and he couldn't because I gave my Vanguard resist. And then we stride into the GB8. So we don't use skill of our rear guard, but however, everything gets 13k into crit, so we're just playing stuff willy-nilly to the field at this point. Since he's at 4 damage, any attack that he takes will kill him. So he no-guarded, and we did check a crit, since we put back a lot of triggers with our Bread of Mouth, and that is GG for our opponent. And then moving on to game 2. Loading replay, DI, GB8 so the second game we're playing against Chaos Breaker. I can't remember if this was a good game or if it lasted that long. I think this is the game where I had a really defensive hand but just got sacked because I decided to take a gamble. But he does 1 to pass us since we had to ride a PG, which is not necessarily bad in this deck. Like, you can get your PGs back later from the soul, so it's not a big deal at all. But I attacked his rear guard because I didn't want to deal with that pesky annoying thing. I also didn't want to give Chaos Breaker damage. Because of that, he did not ride, and then we get to punish him with Sabreeze. So we use our starter to Soul Blast 1, and then we Soul Blast 2, and we use the skill to retire one of his cards. Then we use the skill to get our PG back, and then we attack him for 14. We have 5 cards in the soul, and we draw. And then we drive check, and we check double critical. So we do make him take a lot of damage. He uses a Chaos Universe skill to make us put down a card. And then I think this is the part that made me really sad. I had 3 PGs and 2 G Guardians, and I wanted to take the chance on this attack. But he did double crit me, and then we did not heal out. So that was a very quick second game. But like, honestly, it's just showing that I guess I could have guarded. I just didn't because I didn't see myself in a critical spot. I also didn't know that if he ran 12 crit or not, because Chaos Breaker builds are kind of like on the fritz. Like, it's either like 12 crit or like a good amount of draw triggers, like 7 crit and 5 draw, or 8 crit and 4 draw. So I really didn't think that he would double crit me, but that was on me. So we're going to GB8 DI3 game. So this game we play against Brave. We got an actual decent hand this time. He rides the All-Maul grade 1, and we draw in Soul Charge. We check a stand trigger, which does nothing. Then he attacks us. It's our turn, and we're deciding to grade 2 rush him a little bit. He guards our rear guard, but doesn't guard the Vanguard, so he would have taken that trigger and been able to be saved from my attack, but he just didn't. But then he attacks our Vanguard and double crits me, so I guess I'm like immediately feeling the backlash from last game where my opponent just crit me to death. So but then he had to retire one because I rode the original, or because I rode the new Scharhrot. And then we used the skill of Monochrome. I probably should have used Regarius first. I wasn't thinking about it because then I would have gotten the draw effect off Monochrome and I wouldn't have minused hand. But we're using Regarius skill. We soul charge 2 1s and a 2. So both of our rear guards get plus 5,000, and then we soul charge a card with darkness, so we get Scharhrot Vampire back. Then our Flying Librarian skill. So then we attack Vanguard for 25, I guess it was. Then we attack for 35. He does G-Guard with the Brave G-Guardian that's also Alt-Maul specific. So we didn't check any triggers, so we can't do anything with Flying Librarian. He goes into Luminous Hope Dragon as his stride. Also during his main or during his ride phase, he plays this Alt-Maul from his hand. So he attacks us for 12. We intercept knowing that there's nothing that we can do with that librarian now. And then he attacks us for 21 and we take it. We stride during our turn. We do bread mouth skill, make him retire 1. Or sorry, that's the on-stride Scharhrot, new Scharhrot skill. So we put down the new Scharhrot and we use flying librarian skill, and we put down a lot of cards basically. We attack for 12, and then we attack for 16 with the Silent Tom skill, which he legitimately could not guard unless he wanted to drop that G guard that he's dropping right now. So we use the skill of our crit before it goes away, and then we're using the skill of Bread of Mouth to put all of our zeros back from the soul. And then we give 2 cards plus 5k. And so he no-passed us. So we check a heal trigger, we do heal. We check a stand trigger, and then we check another heal, and we do heal again. Like, another reason why I just said, like, this card's so broken. But I guess he didn't know that my Vanguard restood, and that ended up being the game for that. It's pretty easy, pretty well played out. But yeah, with that being said, that has been our Dark Irregular GB8 build. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey guys, thank you for joining me for my Dark Irregulars GB8 video. I will be back on Thursday with a Pale Moon GB8 video. Make sure you check out the new links and the new ending we have going on. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon, and also click that subscribe button. And check out Mr. Nick from Team Sunshine. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, signing out guys. See you on Thursday.